There's a very interesting report that's come out from Jacob Rees Mogg. Now, Jacob Rees Mogg on April the 22nd, so last week, said the BBC seems to have given up even the veneer of impartiality, so I would encourage people to tune into GB News for sensible and balanced reporting. Well, of course, there's an element of hyperbole about anything that Jacob Rees Mogg says, but this is taking it to extremes. I mean, how on earth can Jacob Rees Mogg claim that the BBC has given up the veneer of impartiality when its Director General is a former Conservative candidate and was, at least until recently, the chair of his own Conservative council, chair of his own Conservative party, and the chairman of the BBC is currently under a cloud precisely because of his Conservative affiliations and links with the current top rank of the Conservative Party. I mean, he was the boss of Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister. He was the Goldman Sachs boss. As for whether or not it's GB News is sensible, well, I'm not so sure it was. I mean, it is, because it's been rebuked by Ofcom, for example, for the Mark Stein report in April. There are complaints about a program with Lawrence Fox, charming man, but off the wall. Dr. Tina Pearce claimed that 58% of pregnant women suffered a miscarriage during the Pfizer vaccine trial, which she later had to recognise was simply untrue. Now, does that sound like sensible? Well, any broadcasting station can make a mistake, but the BBC, I think, sort of vets what's going to be said, is very careful about what's going to be said. I can't say the same about GB News, can I? I don't know. I don't know how it actually works in its in its sort of detailed process. I remember going to GB News and doing a quiz show for them. At least I think it was GB News. I don't think it's ever been aired, actually, but it was very entertaining. And I thought, their setup is quite plush, really, and a lot of green screen. But yes, I didn't see a lot of editorial assistance, and one did feel sort of slightly out on a limb at times. As for balanced reporting, now, is it balanced reporting, for example, when Jeremy Hunt sat down for an interview with Esther McVeigh, the MP for Tatton, and her husband Phil Davies, the MP for Shipley, on the 11th of March, I think. Is that balanced? Ofcom has said that it will investigate whether the show broke the media watchdog's rules requiring news and current affairs to be presented with due impartiality. Or maybe it wasn't news and current affairs. Maybe it was purely entertainment. But it said our investigation will look at the programme's compliance with our rules on politicians presenting programmes and whether it included an appropriately wide range of significant views relating to a matter of major political controversy or current public policy. I'm not sure it did, and certainly the SNP man, John Nicholson, who's on the Digital Culture, Media and Sports Committee, described it as a love-in. So probably far more appropriate for Channel 4. He thought it was a flagrant breach of Ofcom rules. So I don't know. Maybe they could find a way of getting round that. Maybe the interview was conducted in the wrong way. Maybe it would have been better if they'd conducted it naked or something. Then it would have got through the various censorship requirements of Ofcom. I mean, I'm not a great fan of Ofcom, but I do think that particular interview was questionable. Gloria De Piero, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Nigel Farage, Michael Portillo, Dan Wootton, Camilla Tominey, Michelle Dewberry, all of these people. I mean, isn't there a theme coming out here? There's a theme coming out here which doesn't scream impartiality and balance, does it? And now we learn that there's a possibility we're going to get Lee Anderson, Dominic Raab, and yes, wait for it, Liz Truss. Liz Truss, fresh from the latest scandal about stuff. No, that's an old scandal. The trace of white powder. But the scandal now is that she's been asked to pay £12,000 for soiled nightwear, which has disappeared from her Grace and Favour home in Kent when she was the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, the Foreign Secretary, the one who played chicken with Sergei Lavrov. But yeah, I don't see any of this being balanced. In fact, I would see it as being hugely biased. And so Rees Mogg's claim that GBNews is sensible and balanced reporting, no, not really. Would I recommend watching GBNews? Well, Rees Mogg is very watchable. I mean, it's like if you can suspend your disbelief for a few minutes, it's like it's like Children's Hour. Watch with Mother. Watch with Mother. With a slightly different angle. And if you want a hoot, you turn over to Talk TV and watch Nadine Dorries. I think all of that is so much more entertaining than Channel 4, but would I recommend it as sensible and balanced reporting and more impartial than the BBC?